Hey everyone, we have a guest today. This is Nicole Castano. She's one of our team members here at Glam on Demand. We just wanted to do this and kind of just like have some conversation about what it's like to be a makeup artist and how we got started. So I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
My name's Ashley Novak, owner of Glam on Demand. When I got started in the industry, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. Fun fact, Nicole was my beauty school teacher. Full circle moment. She was my beauty school teacher, and there was some competition at school where I decided to do makeup even though I had never done it before. I won the competition, and it kind of started my love of makeup, but I had always thought I was going to cosmetology school for hair and nails. But I asked Miss Castano to come teach me how to do makeup, and I was struggling with blending and things like that I feel like all artists struggle with at first. So she took me under her wing and started helping me with makeup. So it's pretty cool that it ended up this way. But the first time I ever did a formal photo shoot, I had been asked by a local photographer if I would do a senior session with this girl, do hair and makeup. So I was like, okay, sure, why not? Wing it. So it turned out really well. She posted the images on social media and tagged me. Now, mind you, this is 13 years ago before it was really, really big, but I'm dating myself, it's fine.
And me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But basically, I got a whole bunch of influx of DMs talking about before they were called DMs, which is even funnier. But anyway,
private messages.
Private messages, that's what it was. And so, everybody's like, well, what do you charge? This and that. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even know what to do. I did this pro bono. I had no idea. And so I think I started at $40 faces. I don't think I charged more than that for quite some time. What about you? Well, first of all, tell them how you got started too.
Hi, as Ashley said, I'm Nicole Castano. I'm one of her artists for Glam on Demand, but yes, I did start as her beauty school educator. Regardless of what she says, I loved her from the start.
She's lying. She hated me. We won't
and it's funny because Ashley, that's where we started, but that was my first teaching job. I actually went to school in 2007, and I literally went on my 23rd birthday because I had nothing else to do. So I decided to pursue my dreams. And from there, it was just, what can I do more? How can I get better? And that's where I landed. And teaching happened to be one of my things. But of course, you still have to support yourself as an artist. So I'm going to predate myself. I used to find work on Craigslist. I'm lucky to be alive.
I did that too.
I'm very lucky to be alive, but at the time, MySpace I think was out, but you really couldn't interact and work with people. Facebook, I don't even know if it existed.
I think it existed. I think it just wasn't that popular.
Yeah, you couldn't do anything, and it was truly just you post pictures. You couldn't really market yourself. So I went on to Craigslist, and there were numerous makeup artist boards. So I would just post, and you talk about a $40 face. And this market, I'm talking, this was 2007, 8, maybe 9. On the lower end markets, you're paying $35. I remember $25 faces.
Oh my gosh, or just eyes.
Yes, just eyes. Oh my.
That's not a thing anymore, guys. Let's
no,
get rid of that.
Not.
Okay?
And it was just, I had a little train case. It had CoverGirl foundation. Didn't even match me, but somehow I made it work. And it was incredible to see, even though you didn't really have a lot and you didn't get paid a lot, as Ashley said, to see your work in print, to see it posted, you're just oh my gosh, this is what I did. And then that one job leads to 2, 3, 4, 5 others. And then before you know it, you have to figure out, okay, this is now something. What do I do with it? And so ultimately you have to decide, how much do you charge? Now that 5 people want me to do this, do I charge them all $40? And gas was maybe $2 and some.
It's so cheap at the time.
Yeah, gas.
You took advantage of that.
Oh, the gas was cheap. This was definitely this was truly an era. You had to live in it to understand it and believe it. Didn't really have a portfolio. The portfolio was just
actual
I have actual printed pictures of some of my first jobs. So it was such an incredible time. And then finding myself into educating, that was always my passion. And to have, you don't always get students like Ashley, but when you have them, we were growing together. Like, truth be told, I was her educator, but we were really growing together. I was learning if this method worked for somebody who was talented. If it did, I was learning, okay, these are all the techniques and mythologies. So it was a lot of learning and teaching on demand, on the spot. So it was really incredible to see how she blossomed, but to also see like, wow, like those words helped, and I remember specifically watching you like blend, and I'm like, I told her, I was like, just do it in little small circles, and she's, oh my gosh, she did it! Like, wow, like you told her, and I mean, and I'm also a mother of 3 beautiful teenagers now, so they were very, very young. So, I wasn't thinking of supporting them. I was thinking of how can I build a foundation to eventually support them, which is, one of the reasons why we're here and how we got here right now. It was, you had to be there.
I do want to go back to the pricing thing too, and just like figuring out your worth, because I think as an artist, like it's super important. And those $40 phases eventually need to pay the bills, right? So I do think that for a while I was charging that for weddings and things like that, but I didn't realize that even though I might have came home with like a lump sum, and to me it was such a lot of money at the time, it wasn't. And of course inflation, all the things, and like you were mentioning gas, like we have to figure all that into what we do. It's not just, and makeup, like buying quality makeup and really getting your kit up, I think is also like expense that you just don't think about at the time. And then of course, like then you put like, this is going to be my profession. So now I pay taxes. Now I pay self-employment taxes. The things that you don't know what you don't know until you do. I think that you learn that as long as you go along. So when I figured out that I needed to raise my prices, and I think this is still a great rule of thumb, is when you're too busy and you can't take another phase, that means you're probably charging too low, because your quality of work is in demand and you need to up that price to meet that demand, because you are now getting exclusive. Like you now have this clientele built, and you need to be able to serve that clientele that's going to pay you what you're worth. Anything to add?
To really just piggyback off of, you're busy and it's great, but like you said, now you have to figure out what is your worth. So how do you do that? Do you pick a number out the air? Buying, CoverGirl foundations, or even I'm really dating myself, Coastal Scents Cosmetics.
Oh my gosh.
Palettes. I mean, they were very, very inexpensive. Morphe didn't even exist. There were brands that were like, they've since, shuttered and whatnot, but there was still a cost to that. So even though you might have spent, $50 or $60 to build this initial kit, now you have to figure out, okay, I have to replenish maybe 3 items or 4 items. And then again, gas has always gone up, it hasn't gone down. So you work doing that for like 3, 4, 5 months. And then, we both come from smaller markets, and now we have to work in bigger markets, or we have to travel further. Ashley and I both, we found ourselves traveling distances to get where we needed to go. So how do you calculate that? So when you figure out your worth, you have to actually be realistic. How far are you willing to travel? How often are you willing to travel? I had a part-time or even full-time job at some point. So, did it make sense to travel X distance only, a couple hours on like a Saturday versus blocking out a whole weekend? So you have to really understand, and these are the things, again, you don't learn in school. I know, because I know that curriculum and she went through school. These things you just don't learn. So at some point you have to pick up a little bit of business acumen, and you have to be realistic. The resources are out there. We both were very fortunate enough to take numerous, like networking and just business courses related to this field, but you also have to look outside of that. And that was a real eye-opener once you realize, I can't just say I'm going to now go from $40 faces to $350 faces, because that also means that you have an expectation to deliver that I may not have been there. However, there is a number in there that you have to work off, because again, you have to make a profit. You have to, you can take that money, put it in your pocket, and then as soon as you pay your bills, you're like, oh, it's gone. It's gone. And you have to figure out how to manage that. And on top of that, I was also managing a household, managing children, and also, paying for my education, because I didn't pay outright for school. Mm-hmm. You have to still, pay those fees back if you incur them. So it's really a little bit of a science into it, figuring out what that worth is and how you want to present yourself in the industry. I am not a $5,000 a face artist, but I'm no longer a $40 a face artist. So you have to be realistic.
And what your market looks like. I think you mentioned it in there, but being realistic to your market. Do your market research. Know what is out there. And you had said like resources. Mm-hmm. If you don't know if this is not in your wheelhouse, there are so many resources out there that you should research. Number one, there's consultants that you can hire that can tell you how to get there. Coaches, same thing. We took a coaching course with Crystal Wright. She's amazing. You should look her up. And we'll go into her later, because I feel like we have some deep dives that we'll go into with that.
You gotta be ready for that.
But you gotta be ready for that. That'll be a whole episode by itself. But the other thing you have to think about too is there's free resources, like not just these people that cost you money, but there's business resources out there. Your local SBA, your local score.org. There's lots of places that you can find out how to, learn your P&L, which is like your profit and loss. There's all these different resources out there to really educate yourself. And also, if there are these classes that you want to take, you need to factor those into
your cost
because it matters. But if your market cost is, to your point, like, everybody here is charging $300, you must be able to do that $300 face. You must be able to do anything that gets thrown at you, no matter what skin tone, type, anything that gets thrown at you, you must be able to do it. You cannot call yourself a makeup artist without actually being able to execute that for everyone.
Yeah. And that's to really pick up on that, the idea of inclusion is definitely, it's realistic. Let's just call it realistic, And I've said this before, my skin type, my skin color has always existed. I remember when I was a child seeing, magazines and TV and seeing it, and there were artists who were creating it. So this is not anything that's new. But the thing is like now there is an expectation that is real, and it is real to the point where maybe 10, 15 years ago you could step into the industry and kind of get away with things. But now it is no longer accepted, and it shouldn't be. In order to raise that bar, it has to come somewhere. So if you are going to invest in your kit, you have to invest in a number of foundations. Should you buy 50 different bottles? No, but this is where the education comes in, and this is where going to school and getting licensed in education and color theory. I could walk away with 3, maybe 4 colors in my kit and know how to mix them up. Dealing with my skin tone, obviously, my entire life, I knew I couldn't go here and find what I needed. So I was always mixing and cocktailing, so I kind of knew. However, when I was in school, I was dealing with hair and skin tones that I'd never worked with. So then I had to learn that there was a learning curve that I had to get on top of. So when you are investing and when you are really truly being an artist, you are using those skills and that education that it's in there. It should be in your toolbox, and you have to know how to use it. So when you finally are on set, or you are in someone's, salon or in their home or a venue, and you've got 5 different shades of, brown, or 5 different shades of, fair or medium, you have to know what to do with that. And you have to kind of tell yourself there's also a quality. Like, a lot of artists don't understand that there's quality in things. Just because it looks good in the bottle or the tube doesn't mean it's always going to work. Yeah. Doesn't mean it's always going to hit. What may work for your skin tone in a particular brand may not work for me. So not only inclusion in color tones, but inclusion in range. You know, dry skin, oily skin, mature skin. You know,
it all matters.
Yeah, those old photos look real different.
They look way different now. Well, and
yeah.
now we have 4K. Now we have, you know, these high def phones, things like that. But
there was no Photoshop before.
No, there wasn't. I mean, they could edit them, but I don't remember what it was called.
There
it was
wasn't
like something
filters.
else. It was definitely no filters.
Yeah.
But I'll wrap up this episode, and we'll move on to the next thing. But we wanted to introduce ourselves, talk about where we came from, and then, you know, we'll get on with the next one. Hope you guys stay tuned.